Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. This video is for partners, friends, and family members of someone who would benefit in their lives and ability to form deep, loving relationships that could grow up emotionally from their narcissistic woundings. Hi, my name is Darren Elliott. I do not diagnose, that is not in my role, but I do work with the injuries of disconnection that are commonly known as narcissism. There is a lot to explain here, or if you are new to this topic, or new to my understandings around it, so please accept my apologies for the rambling. A number of the topics touched on here are explained more in other videos, and I am making more and more videos as well. If narcissism describes your loved one and they are waking up to the change, then love must be one of your strong qualities, because it takes a lot of motivation for someone to be able to wake up from these painful childhood woundings and realize that they need therapy, that they can have therapy. The amount of motivation it takes to push through the pain and admit it's there requires that someone has loving and important relationships that they don't want to lose. That they realize the humans in their life mean more to them than anything. But this is so buried that it's painful to be with them. I know. In this video, I'm going to flip around my pronouns a whole bunch, because I'm talking to people who suffer narcissism, and I'm talking to people who are dealing with loved ones who are suffering from narcissistic woundings. And in fact, we do all have some, because this is on a spectrum. So please take whatever feels relevant for you, wherever you are sitting in the relationship for this human experience. We all have narcissism. Narcissism is hugely misunderstood. Psychiatrists used to think it was a personality disorder because the personality is so distorted and manipulative rather than intimate when removed from our healthy connection processes. Narcissists are under the false assumption that there's something wrong with them deep down. They are afraid others will find out, so they defend against even feeling this existential fear of rejection. Rejection means death to a child. Huge pain. These are stuck childhood processes. It's in this misunderstanding that keeps them separate from others and needing to feel like they are better than others to be able to deal with this painful rejection. As a human pack animal, it's just too painful to feel separated. If I am separate from others, it needs to be because I'm better than you, or it hurts too much. Worldview has a huge impact on how one perceives the other, and therefore on how they treat the other. How am I going to behave towards you if I think you want to hurt me? How am I going to behave towards you if I think you want to love me? These are very different behaviors that come out. Think about that for a moment. There are no villains in this world. People have suffered relational traumas, and that means that they have been hurt, and that because of this hurt, they have learned to trust others less. For whatever reason, they have learned that they need to be strong alone. Perhaps in their childhood, instead of their emotions being understood and responded to and felt with and nurtured by an adult. What if that adult was already too overwhelmed? Maybe by an abusive partner, or just being a sensitive person in a busy household. If their adult or caregiver was unable to feel with the child, unable to feel with their pain with them, and then help them understand their pain, and then help them feel better, because children learn to co-regulate with our caregivers. If our caregiver did not understand or have the emotional capacity to do that with us, to share our pain, then we will have retreated inside with our emotions. Our emotions become a scary, painful thing that are only for us, because others do not respond to them empathically and give us the support we need. So the person that's patient zero here, they are living on a desert island. Stop for a moment and take this in. I want you to picture someone alone on a desert island, and that is the narcissist. It doesn't matter what island you picture. You might be picturing a glamorous resort, a private oasis with a yacht, more out front in the beautiful Azure Sea. There is one person living on it. Doesn't even matter if they have video contact or phone contact, or if they are always alone. Maybe not alone with their easy and joyful emotions, but alone with their painful, difficult, hard to process emotions. Now imagine you are alone on a desert island. Whatever you imagine, it doesn't matter the setting. How does it feel to be alone on the desert? Day after day, after a few days, after a week, after a few weeks, after a month, after a few months, after a year, all alone, emotionally, all alone, not sharing your fears, not sharing your concerns. After a few years, all alone, after a decade. Did you see the movie where Tom Hanks plays a man stranded on a desert island, Castaway? Well, I thought that movie was well written. It's one of the movies, I think, that they may have had a psychotherapist or other mental health professional on staff, because in this movie, the main character is stranded on an island, and the only company he has is a basketball. His basketball becomes everything to him, to tie him to reality outside of himself. As humans, we need others to mirror us, to share our thoughts and feelings and emotions with them authentically. We have evolved to do this in relationship. There were so many traumas in previous generations and from therapy professionals that taught humans to learn how to be well and whole and happy by ourselves. This started a whole movement of individualism, which has not been good for us pack animals. We humans, we do not thrive alone. That is a myth. If you have learned to strive alone, then you have learned coping strategies to do so that may have made you less in contact with your human side, which means less in contact with others, which means your intimacy is impaired and you're not able to trust others fully. Maybe you think the world is a bad place. This is the world you are living in. You may have painful, unprocessed emotions that were never supported to deal with because you didn't share them with others. You cannot do that as a human and remain fully well. You need to share your experiences. You need to be felt and understood as well. We are wired to share our feelings with others and to see them feel our feelings with us. This is how we know they understand. In fact, it is how they understand. When someone has experienced relational traumas impairing this process, there are different parts of this. For one, it's kids. We learned how to regulate our emotions by regulating with the humans around us. If you're a kid regulating with your caregiver, but your caregiver's emotions are in contempt and judgment and criticism and blame, this is an overwhelming negative energy. So the kid could join in that negative energy, or the kid could learn how not to feel with others, choosing the route of least pain in that moment, causing disconnection and pain later. Feeling with others is how we understand our impact on them. This is called empathy. Relational traumas especially during childhood, causes, I was laughing because of the D on this cup, it was a gift, cause this process to be interrupted out of necessity. Your loved one has been living in survival mode with their defenses fully raised, and with that, unable to share their innermost thoughts and feelings and pains and emotions, which has become less and less tied to reality. They live in two worlds. The world they have with you is real. I hear experts calling it fake all the time. It is no less real than it is for you or for me. It feels fake because when they go back to their own other energy, this energy doesn't exist for them at all. But in fact, both can be separately. It depends where they are on the spectrum. When they join us in our positive emotions of acceptance and care and love and kindness, they are possibly able to join us there, and they do not have the same defenses about going into these happy, comfortable emotions with us. The love we share with them in this energy is real. When typical empathic humans get angry, we can feel angry as an emotion, and we can recognize this emotion has a message for us. And what is it? And then we can act on this message, and maybe by telling the person, you just hurt my feelings. Did you mean to say that? Or maybe it's needing to change your boundaries and tell your friend, please don't call me that. Or please don't call me after 10 p.m. Our boundaries need to be clear. Anger has a message, and so does sadness, and so does frustration, and so do all the other emotions have a message, but we don't need to stay stuck in them. We do need to feel them, acknowledge them, and honor them. We also need to feel with others so that we can release our emotions together. We're wired to do these things relationally. So when I am upset with someone that is going wrong between us, and I come to you, and if I say, stay emotionally neutral, or if you stay emotionally neutral, the feeling in my body is that you are not meeting me energetically, and you do not care, because you are not feeling with me. I'm feeling this, and you're being neutral. That is not feeling with. In this experience, I am not able to release my negative energy with you. To an empathic person, this hurts. And over time, this causes dysregulation. If you are someone playing a role in their life that requires intimacy, if we're talking about a coworker or a neighbor or a casual friend we like to play games with, or yes, intimacy doesn't matter so much, so it doesn't matter. It's okay, if they don't see us in our pain, we don't expect it of them. But if this is our family, if these are the people who are meant to be our inner circle, then this causes immense pain, because we need to feel seen and felt and understood in all of our experiences as a human. If you are not sharing your deep, most fearful or intimate thoughts, then these thoughts are living on a desert island. These thoughts are locked away, unshared thoughts, and emotions are in solitary confinement, and they are becoming more and more disordered. The healing for narcissism is in relationship. The healing for narcissism is in developing intimacy by finally trusting someone first. It may be with a therapist. In this case, because I can generally see and share my experience of what's happening for you with me, and my sharing makes you feel more safe to share with me. True authenticity and vulnerability is a skill that needs to be developed in relationship. And we work on empathy and caring and developing love and creating what I have coined as love loops. I include a lot of psychoeducation all the time, because really, as humans, we should have a course on this when we were young, but we don't. It's as if EQ doesn't matter. But it does. EQ matters a lot. I hope that changes. I have a messenger in mind when it comes to psychoeducation, in fact, and keep your eyes open for Doreen, the singing therapist. She has a message for the world. I want to come back to the concept of love loops before closing this video. Love is an emotion that you feel in your body. We receive this feeling of emotion from others at first. We can see love coming to us from all children are narcissists, and love needs to be unconditional to be received. If you cannot feel the feeling of emotion of love in your body, then you cannot feel that emotion for others either. This may not be a problem for you because you do not know any differently, but it is a problem for the others. You may have told yourself that you are strong enough, that you can do this by yourself. You don't need their help anyway. I don't care if she loves me or not. I know I'm better than her. These are narcissistic defenses. These are child's emotional thinking. So maybe they can be joining you in a happy energy and a loving energy and accepting energy, but then they can get triggered too easily into their critical and judgmental energy. You are against me and I don't really trust you energy. And this can come with a trigger, which means it's anything that reminds them of their other pain. Their other pain is coming from another time where there was no support to feel whatever it was they were feeling. This could have been as a baby, maybe abandoned, falling asleep more than 70% of the time, so that they gave up on ever asking for help. They gave up on anyone being there for their crying emotionally and ended up starting to bury pain emotions. Bury the painful emotions because they were never ending. Babies learn to stop crying out of exhaustion, become people who cannot feel their emotions. Babies learn to regulate with their caregivers. They calm down with their caregivers. They learn to self-soothe with their caregivers. That needs to be most of the time. If you cannot feel your emotions, then you cannot feel your emotions with others either. If you're an empath, you feel with others easily. And when someone does not feel with you, it feels like an emotional block. It feels like a rejection. It feels like not going there with you. It feels like being alone, or even worse. And they don't feel it at all. Part of what happens with this person suffering narcissistic woundings is that they need you to mirror back to them all the time in a positive way. When you're not mirroring them back in a positive way, this feels like pain to them. And they can get angry at you for it and think it's your fault. And even think that you are becoming abusive because it's your fault that they're feeling in their negative energy. So they will be abusive to you and think that you deserve. As humans, we intuitively understand that babies have an open nervous system. Because of this, we intuitively speak with a gentle, kind, and loving voice. We naturally say gentle, kind, loving, validating things, and we don't even think about it. Oh, small humans need this positive mirroring. It's how they know they're good little babies. It's how they know they're lovable. Yes, you are. You were dealing with someone today who still needs constant validation. And when they don't feel it, they fall into misery and they think it's your fault. That's what they think. So as someone close to them, you will be dealing with triggered reactions. Sometimes they will be in their triggered reaction with you and you don't even know it because they're pretending to be in their more connected and loving energy. And they think other people do it too. They don't realize that most of us are just living in the energies we're showing. And this is when they are being passive aggressive, when they when resentment towards you is growing, when they might be doing things behind your back because they don't trust you. This is when they are secretly in the dark energy. They are in a place of me versus you, and you can probably feel it. It could be that they share a positive energy with you sometimes, and they avoid going into anything serious because it takes them into their darker energy and they can't help it. That's why they avoid the serious conversation. But it feels like rejection for someone who can. They think that everyone gets triggered into this dark feeling, or they might permanently live in this feeling that others are against them. That happens too, and only pretending to be with you in your happy energy because they think that others are always pretending too. They might really think that the world is a dangerous place and that others are out to get them, and that the only one they can really trust is themselves. That people are pretending to be friendly. They don't understand that we're genuinely friendly, feeling our love and care for each other. How would you treat others if this was how you felt in the world? Narcissism lives on a spectrum, and it lives in secrecy. As we work together to be more authentic, to start sharing difficult feelings of pain, about to be triggered, and recognizing that pain is coming from the past and that they need to stay with you in the present is good. This is an awkward healing because you do not want to be codependent, and you have them rely on you for all their validation. And if at the same time they need to grow up with you and have the support that was not there for them to grow up emotionally the first time. And this does in fact take a lot of validation. But we're not giving them the constant validation that they're always manipulating to receive. We do not want to support them to stay in their negative child energy. It was normal as a child to say, look at me, and to hear the encouraging words, you look great, wonderful job, honey, I love you, good job, oh, wonderful. We need this as narcissistic children. That is how we know that we are good enough. We need those mirrors. We just look out into the world, we don't know who we are. If that message didn't get through when you needed it as a narcissistic child, if you weren't allowed to be narcissistic, for example, then that process may have gotten stuck for you and you still need it today. This is emotional dependence, and it's become so prevalent in society that people are even becoming blind to it. It's becoming common to see, my group is better than your group. This is narcissistic culture. It's hard for you to see yourself others who look like you just look normal to you. That's part of how many religious people were able to elect someone as president. He seems a lot like me and I'm a good person, said many church leaders to their followers. People do not understand narcissism. We do need each other to regulate our emotions together. We do need each other to feel with each other. We need to learn to self-validate through validation. So supporting the narcissistic human to grow up does include a validation of who they are as a person, for them to feel safe, to share those uncomfortable and embarrassing and shameful experiences that are in fact just human experiences that have been isolated for too long. If your loved one is working on staying in their positive energy and is able to be there more and more to ongoing personal development, as long as they're in the therapy work and know that they will continue the therapy work, sometimes they will do behaviors that are just old habits, and that does not mean that they're hiding the fact that they're now in contempt and jealousy and anger against you. It will feel like it because it's happened so many times. Sometimes it does, and we need to check. Where are you right now? We come to realize that we are dealing with our partner and their angry child, and that they are frightened to tell us when they're angry child living in fear, which is the opposite of love. When you see these old behaviors of self-focus, self-pity, blame, defending, circular conversations, you can get triggered into thinking they are in regression when they might just be in an old habit. Because you have been in relationship with someone who has had unpredictable behavior, you also get triggered into your fear self as well. This has impacted you. This becomes part of the equation of triggering each other. So it needs to be understood on both sides. When someone is triggered into their child self, into their angry, negative, contemptuous, judgmental, blaming child self, they need nurturing back out of that. If you reach for blame when they make a slip, they are very likely to go into their angry child self. So we need to nurture togetherness and connection in a different way. Because blame is an emotion that lives with contempt and jealousy and vindication and me against you. And we need to live in how do we heal this together. More like, oh, we broke a glass, because we both need to now deal with needing another glass, even though this does not heal alone. And if you have decided to move on and not invest in this relationship anymore, that is also your legitimate life choice. I don't make this video to make you feel stuck in a relationship. I make this video to show hope that narcissism is a relational disorder and that it has relational healing through emotional growth, but it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of support on all sides. We humans have a negativity bias. We notice the negative more than the positive. This evolutionary factor of noticing danger more has kept us safe. Stopping to smell the flowers and enjoy the sunshine didn't help us with survival. So these things take our intentional focus. When you isolate your thoughts from others, they will naturally go towards fear. And fear is the opposite of love. And fear causes separation. And if you refuse to acknowledge that you have fear, you're separating yourself from your pain and from others. Working with narcissism takes compassion and love and empathy and connection and kindness. As the human is learning these skills and growing up in the ways they were not able to before. Please watch more videos if you would like to gain a greater understanding of the role of connection, of love and intimacy, and belonging as essential traits in healing narcissism, which is a disorder of disconnection. I am not saying you can love them into wellness. I'm saying that with coaching and therapy and understanding, change is possible. Neuroplasticity is real. What we focus on grows. What you reinforce grows. And the more support we have to deal with the painful emotions, to stop riding the waves of pain into blame and contempt, the weaker those waves will become. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. My name's Darren Elliott, and it's my pleasure to work with narcissism.